Today's topic is language translators. What is language translator? A translator is a tool that processes programming languages, converting a computer program from one language to another. It takes the original program, known as the source code, and transforms it into a machine-readable format. Additionally, it can identify and highlight any errors that occur during the translation process. As we know, the computer only understands digital data, that is zeros and ones. It is very difficult to convert our human language format to digital format. For example, let person A understands only Hindi language while person B understands only English. Then for communication between them, another person C will be used as a translator who knows both English and Hindi. In the same case, there are various translators who can convert our human language to computer language. What are they? They are assembler, compiler, and interpreter. What is assembler? The assembler plays a crucial role in converting programs written in an assembly language into machine code. It takes the source program, which consists of assembly language instructions, as its input. The result produced by the assembler is known as object code or machine code, which the computer can understand. Essentially, the assembler serves as the primary interface that bridges the gap between human language and machine language. It is necessary for facilitating communication between humans and machines. As we know, the code written in assembly language consists of mnemonics such as add, multiplication, subtraction, division, move, and the assembler is responsible for translating these mnemonics into binary codes. Let's start an example. Our example is addition of two numbers. Okay, let's start. First of all, we can see how assembly language is looked like. Okay, what are they? This is the assembly code. It looks like this. Okay, and when we convert them to object code, it can look like this. And after converging to exe file or executable file, it looks like this. Okay, understand? Okay, this is the GUI tool for assembler. Here is our code. I have copied. Now we can run. Okay, it is showing to input a number. Okay, let's enter. First number is 12, second number is 13. It will display the result as 25. Okay, we can see compiler. A compiler is defined as a language processor that comprehensively analyzes the entire source program, which is written in a high-level programming language, and subsequently converts it into a corresponding machine language for program. Example of such high-level languages includes C, C++, and C#. Okay. How compiler works? You can create this text using any basic text editor you prefer, such as Notepad, Notepad++, or Vim. But avoid using rich text editors like Word, OpenOffice Writer, etc. Typically, the file is saved with .c extension to indicate that it contains C source code, though you might also see .cc or .cxs extensions. Computers can't run this source file directly. It needs to be converted into binary instructions for the processor first. The next step involves using a compiler to perform this translation. There are various methods to do this. depending on the compiler is chosen. The compiler processes the source file and compiles it into a executable program that you can run. More intricate program often consist of several C files, each compiled into separate intermediate output files. Usually they are .o or .obj extension, and then they link together by a program called a linker to create a single executable file. Even when compiling just one source file into executable, the compiler automatically calls the linker in the background. Now coming into interpreter. An interpreter is a type of language processor that translates a single statement from the source program into machine code and executes it right away before proceeding to the next line. If it encounters an error in the statement, the interpreter stops translating at that point and throws an error message. It will, it will only continue to the next line for execution once the error has been resolved. Unlike other methods, an interpreter directly runs instructions written in a programming or scripting language without converting them into object code or machine code beforehand. It translates and executes one line at a time. Then, what are the differences between compiler and interpreter? A compiler is a software tool that transforms the complete source code of a programming language into machine code that a CPU can execute. Whereas an interpreter processes a source program one line at a time, translating each line as it goes along. Next, it may take a significant amount of time to analyze the entire source code. The program's execution speed is generally quicker. In interpreter case, it requires less time to analyze the source code, but the overall execution speed of the program tends to be slower. Next, it only provides error messages after it has reviewed the entire program, making debugging more challenging since errors can occur anywhere in the code. In case of interpreter, debugging with an interpreter is simpler because it translates the program until it encounters an error. Next, compilers typically need a substantial amount of memory to create object codes. Interpreters, however, use less memory since they do not generate object code. Next comparison, compilers produce intermediate object code, but interpreters do not generate any intermediate code. For security reasons, compilers are generally more advantageous. Interpreters can be somewhat more susceptible to security issues. Examples of the compilers are C, C++, C Sharp. Examples of interpreters used in Python, Perl, JavaScript, and Ruby.